Oh, hello. Welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about the Kill Team Metawatch article that went up today, and a few other bits of news surrounding Kill Team. So let's talk about the actual Metawatch segment. So there's an article and a video. The video is quite a good interview between Elliot, who's the lead designer of Kill Team, still the lead designer of Kill Team. I know we didn't see him at like one tournament, and they had a job posting up, and then there was a little bit of a rumour going around that is Elliot still the guy? Elliot is still the guy. So he's being interviewed by Nick Baton. Well, I mean, interview's a strong word, but that's the framing device for the marketing thing that you're watching, right? And then there's an article as well. So I'm just going to summarise what I thought were the key points. I do think the video is worth a watch, and I do think the article's worth a read by yourselves. So, do, and I'm sure I'll miss some nuance from the rather long video. But essentially, the next balanced data slate is on the way in either November or December. That was said. They talked a little bit about how they balance the game now. So their methodology has changed. They don't pay too much attention to the overall win rates anymore. And they gave a number of reasons for this. So they were talking about how it's very easy to change teams in Kill Team. So, in 40k, if you have 2,000 points of, Sisters of Battle, right? And you've painted that all up to play in these big events that usually have painting requirements. And then if Sisters are doing really badly and Eldar are doing really well, then the hobby time that you have to put in to faction hop from Sisters to Eldar, for most people, is prohibitive to prevent this much changing around. So people in 40k tend to stick with underperforming factions more, and the data then becomes more robust, and you can track how different factions are doing. Because in Kill Team, if a Kill Team is underperforming, it's really easy for people to hop factions. Because it's if you are just going for a sort of decent tabletop standard, it's like a weekend's hobby, right? To paint 6 to 14 guys depending on the team you've picked. So there's that, and there's also the data is much smaller at Kill Team. So one other example they gave was Ace taking Phobos to Warhammer World. Then there was an event at Madrid, and a lot of the Spanish people who obviously follow Ace's Spanish language, YouTube channel and all the rest of that sort of stuff, suddenly all started taking Phobos, and that creates a really noticeable blip in the data. So they, instead of doing these case studies of these big events, the events in Madrid, the event at Warhammer World, and the Nova Open in the US, and then looking at those things and then looking at the narrative of those things to determine what they need to do. So it's a bit more, I would say, qualitative data and a bit less quantitative data, which is going to mean the various people who Can You Roll a Crit famously and a couple of other YouTube channels use the Hot Sauce Teddy data to try and predict what's going to be in the balanced data slate. I would say that process is going to be a little bit less, because they'd basically worked out Games Workshop's methodology, because they used to talk openly about wanting to get this in the range, in the middle, and wanting to tweak things that had fallen outside a certain range, and they've now said they've moved away from that, and it's been a bit more airy and a bit more qualitative, we'll say, rather than quantitative. Okay, and then they talked about what's likely to come up in the next balanced data slate. So they said there were going to be they teased kind of a nerf to Orc Commandos, because Orc Commandos were kind of a big deal at the Nova Open, and specifically they talked about the sneaky git tactical ploy as being something that was in the firing lines for a nerf. Won't draw on exactly what they were doing to Sneaky Git. It's interesting because we've been living with Sneaky Git for the entire edition, but I guess as other buffs have come in, and then they'll nerf that and buff something else to try and get the faction to where they want them. And then they stated that they were going to do buffs for Wormblade, Exaction Squad, and Felgor. Certainly, some voices on my Discord, people were a bit kind of apprehensive at the idea of buffs to Wormblade, because they're, at least on the Table Pimples Discord, they're perceived as being a strong faction. Now, one thing that could be, Wormblade aren't, I think Wormblade are probably less good on Into the Darks. Maybe they could get buffs similar to the buffs the Tau just got, which is quite targeted towards that format. Who can say, right? Who can say? But that was really all it told us about the meta. And then there's a couple of other angles that I want to touch on with this. So, Season 3, there was this little end note at the end of the article, which I will read out to you. This is the perfect opportunity to shake up the status quo with a brand new box. We can't say much about it right now, but you'll find out sooner than you might think. And with new kill teams, a new season, and an entirely new setting on the way, it's going to be a biggie. So I think there are two pieces of information there that we can get at. First of all, yeah, a lot of people have said, oh, maybe it's not going to be as big a change to the game as Into the Dark was. It's not going to be as big a kind of variant play mode as Into the Dark was. I mean, the pros here, an entirely new setting, coupled with what they said at Warhammer Fest, coupled with some of the stuff, the way they talked about it in the Metawatch video right at the end as well, it does make me think it's going to be, like, as people have as I've said before and has been said, as big a change to the game, as big a mutator, if you want, to the game as Into the Dark was. Now, I know a lot of people kind of don't want that, or seem to be wishlisting, or why don't they just take the opportunity to tweak, like the main game, and not potentially, like, make big changes. But I do think that, technical. There we go, and not make big changes to to refine, I should say, to refine the main game rather than bring in a whole new way to play. But I do think that it's a whole new way to play option is happening, and then we've got to think about like, people have adopted Into the Dark. It does get played quite a lot, and there was such a lag. If you remember, there was ages and ages and ages and ages where I was saying, oh, they're not doing Into the Dark Warhammer World. Oh, people need to do more mixed tournaments. Oh, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. And it only really became normative towards the end, I would say, of the season. So with Season 3, we should probably expect the same thing, where there's quite a little bit of a lag between this coming out to it becoming something that people play. And it remains to be seen whether it comes in and is as popular as Into the Dark, if Into the Dark fades in popularity, if we have all three ways to play being played at a tournament. But that's going to be really interesting. The other bit I wanted to touch on was this stuff about you'll find out sooner than you might think. Now, I and a lot of sensible people have been predicting that we're going to be finding out at the Warhammer Day preview on the 14th of October. Is this Games Workshop's way of saying that we're going to find out before the Warhammer Day preview on the 14th of October? Because that would be something, because there are only 2 weekends between right now and the 14th of October, right? So, we've got the Space Marines for 40k on a 2-week pre-order, right? So I'm on Sunday the 1st of October, I'm not expecting the next week in Warhammer thing to be anything, right? Because they don't usually launch something, especially not something big, in the middle of a 2-week pre-order. But I could see the 8th of October, so, before Warhammer Day, they could preview them then, right? Because then, on Warhammer Day, you'd have the Space Marines releasing on the 14th, and on the same day, you'd have the Kill Team box going on pre-order. And they could still talk, so they could do on Sunday, they could do a shot of the box and a confirmation of the teams and a look at the terrain. They could do some teaser articles during the week, and then they could potentially have it release on the 14th, and still run trailers and things and talk about it and have the designers interview type content as part of the preview stream if they wanted to. Now, I think that's an ambitious, because if it was coming out then, the men who read books would already have the stuff, and we know so little Like Kill Team doesn't leak and influencers don't leak, but they usually someone somewhere will at least kind of go, oh yeah, I've got it. I can't say anything about it, but I've got it. And I would think if we were genuinely 2 and a bit weeks out from the pre-order day on the 14th, would the usual suspects, Glass Half Dead, Can You Roll a Crit, etc., would they have gone, oh yeah, there's something. I don't know. It just seems a little bit soon, but I can't see. I mean, they could just drop a preview article not associated with a pre-order and go, oh yeah, this is coming. Like, they could do that tomorrow for all we know, right? They could just drop a preview article. But with the preview show coming so close, maybe I'm reading too much into this comment, but sooner than you might think. I mean, I can't be the only person that's gone, oh, there's Warhammer Day preview. That's when they're going to announce it. And now they're saying, oh, it's going to come before then? Is that what they're saying? Don't know. But food for thought. Food for thought. It would be really something. It would really shake things up. Approved ops. So we're getting a new Kill Team product. This has been previewed. It's not really new. Okay, so it's a new print run of the Crit Ops Tactical Objective deck. And now it's bundled with the Close Quarters Matched Play TAC Ops cards, which were previously a PDF download. So this is really interesting, actually, in a number of ways. First of all, what do? Do I buy the pack to get a nice set of the close quarters on little cards, or is that a complete waste of money? Probably it's a complete waste of money, but then I own the YouTube channel, so it'd be like, oh, review, unboxing, confirm they're the same, hooray. Don't know. What I want them to do is to make loads of these. I want to go into a Games Workshop and see 6 boxes of these just sat unwanted on the shelf. I realise that's a weird thing for a company to aim for, but I want them to produce. I want them to, if ever Games Workshop overproduced anything, fine, you can't afford to overproduce on giant boxes of miniatures. You could afford to have a few of these sitting as an evergreen item in your Games Workshop stores, surely, so we can actually get new people into the game. Okay, but a couple of other things this tells us about Season 3. If they're doing another print run and they're doing it now, presumably that means the TAC Ops aren't dramatically going to change into Season 3. Right? So we're still going to have the same Seek and Destroy, Security, Recon, all decks there. And also they've printed the Into the Dark cards, so presumably they don't anticipate Into the Dark kind of going away at all, and they're not going to be like, oh, that was last year's, nobody plays Kill Team like that anymore, now we're all on Waterworld or Jungle Planet or whatever it might be, right? So I think this is a good thing. But the other thing, I don't know when these are coming out, but before you race out and buy them, they might be super limited and you might really need a deck, so maybe you want to race out and buy them. But maybe they'll throw a deck into the Season 3 box 1. Don't forget, the first box every season has always included TAC Ops decks. Now, the last 2 times it's been the old TAC Ops deck that no one uses anymore because that was the current TAC Ops. This time, are they going to throw one of these in there? So if you rush out and buy one, and then you were going to buy Season 3 box 1 anyway, you get end up with 2. I mean, having a spare TAC Ops deck is no bad thing because it means you can get someone else into the game. But just be aware, you may not get value for money out of your additional TAC Ops deck, potentially, if that's something that concerns you. Tournament news, so not really to do with the Metawatch, but I couldn't make it into a video all on its own, so I'm kind of sliding it in here. GW have just announced their next big 2-day event, so Kill Team Critical Strike 2. 13th and 14th of January in Warhammer World. The tickets go on sale on the 2nd of October. So I'm going to try and do that. The Eventbrite page is up now. I've had a look through the pack. I'm not going to do a video going through the pack because, as far as I can tell, it's the same pack as Crit Strike 1. What's interesting is they haven't updated the pack, so it doesn't say anywhere oh yeah, we're using the Turning Point Tactics map packs. So maybe, maybe they aren't using them again. Maybe they are. I don't know. It will depend. They did feedback forms after the event where the people said, oh, actually, it could be that people went said, actually, I don't like these maps. I like the old ones. That's possible. So they haven't committed in the pack anyway, is what I'm saying, to using the turning point tactics. I kind of expect that they will do, but they haven't committed to say that they're definitely doing it, which is interesting. And then, as viewers of my Tuesday night hobby stream will know, I had two guys in from the Not Kill Team group who were like, have you put any more thought into this notion that you might not need to go to a Games Workshop run tournament? You might actually not get stabbed if you come to our tournament at Christmas. It's pretty cool. And then I had a look, and I was like, well, I would like to go to a tournament in December. That would really float my train. Be cool. And so, yeah, me and Zimbad are going to be going to the Not Kill Team Christmas Clash. So there'll be some familiar faces there. Amuse Brush, one of the channel members who's always in the live streams, is a member of this group, and we've played a game at the last Critical Strike weekend as well. We played our final round, and I handed him his one win of the event to sail to my full sheet of losses. Fond memories. But yeah, I'll be getting there and seeing how I can do. Probably with my Bad War themed Strike Force Justian, assuming that they get some rules for using archetypes by then from Games Workshop. That would be nice. Because, of course, the 16th is just after the deadline for the Badab War Painting Challenge, so it will be a great opportunity to the first outing of my Badab War themed Strike Force Justian Space Marines. That'd be cool. Yeah. So if you are in the UK, or even if you're not in the UK, apparently, Mr. Nightfall, who will get his shout out on this slide, but we're still on the previous slide. Mr. Nightfall, patron of the channel. Patron, it was a word. Patreon stole the word. I don't use Patreon, I use YouTube memberships, but he is still a patron, because patron had meaning before the platform, just English lesson. But patron of the channel, at the highest possible tier, wants to go from Germany to visit Warhammer World during a weekend event and, look at all the miniatures and play Kill Team. So that'll be amazing, assuming we all get tickets. The last event didn't even sell out, so maybe don't need to be that worried about getting the tickets, right? Final thoughts. So what did you think of the Metawatch video and article? If you've watched and read and I've missed something vital, let us know in the comments so that we can all benefit from your wisdom and insight. Will you be picking up the approved Ops card pack? And if so, is it because you really want the cards with Into the Dark layouts on, or because you never got hold of the Critical Ops pack last time? Are you heading to either of those tournaments, or any tournament? Tournament chat can happen in the chat as well, in the comments, or you could join the Discord. We've been having some tournament chat in the Discord and talking about cars and rail privatization. It's a strange place. When do you think we're going to hear about Season 3 of Kill Team? Am I mad with my timetable of it could actually just come out in like 2 or 3 weeks? I mean, I don't know. I was certain it would be previewed at Fest. Not Fest, it would be previewed on Warhammer Day, and then like a month later it would come out in the throes of November, in time for Christmas. But hey, maybe if we're going to hear about it sooner than we think. I mean, I think we're going to hear about it pretty soon. So sooner than that is very soon indeed. But let me know if you think I'm being optimistic. Please do like the video. Please subscribe. The subscriber numbers are slowly tickling up. It would mean the world to me if we could just push up a few more subscribers, get to 2K, 3K, 4K, a billion, a zillion. Get the whole universe subscribed. That would be really good. And of course, a big shout out to all my channel members who support me directly financially, but also to Nightfall in particular, who supports me the most directly and the most financially by being a member at the silliest tier of membership. Alright, thanks everybody. Have a great evening, no matter what you are doing, where you are. And I will see you the next time, which will be on the weekend. It'll be the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. Usually Sunday evening these days, but it could be on Saturday. And, cheerio. Cheery bye. Bye-bye.